And it should, do you
We
see it on
are
your
live.
side?
Yes,
I
ma'am.
never, I never see it on my side. Well,
It's
welcome everyone to another Facebook Live with Dr. Nelva Bryant. We are happy to be here on Friday, March the 8th, and we are happy to be with all of you. So, Dr. Bryant, why don't you introduce yourself and tell everyone about yourself?
Hi, everyone. Thanks for listening in on this session today. I'm Dr. Nelva Bryant. I'm a veterinarian, and I've coined my own term. I'm a airline industry veterinarian, and actually, animal transportation is air industry and animal transportation are my specialty areas as far as being a veterinarian. I do work with Delta Airlines. I'm on staff with them to help review and revise the policies for animal transportation. I'm not sure if everyone is aware of it. Um, there are plenty of regulations regarding the transportation of all animals, not just your dogs and cats. It's for zoo animal species. Trust me, it's all of it is regulated. There's different federal agencies that we have to stay on top of as far as the regulations. So that's what I do for Delta, basically. So that's me. Greta, please introduce yourself as well.
Uh, I work with Dr. Bryant. I do marketing, PR, and events, but and I'm the resident cat parent. I mean, and
Yes.
also a pet parent, so I bring a distinctive voice to the conversations. But I'm very happy to be here with Dr. Bryant, and also looking forward to meeting our guest for today.
Yeah. Yeah. These past couple, this year has gone by so fast. Seems like we're already in March, but I'm trying to think some things that I could share that's been going on with me. Recently came back from two conferences. I was at Gov Travels 2024 on a pet panel. I was a pet panelist, and we were discussing the transportation of military pets and government pets as well, as far as saying you're making a military move or what have you, something like that. So we answered questions regarding that. It was very interesting. And then the other meeting I went to,
I got a question on that. Does the military have their own planes to transport?
They do. They have their own for their moves. Gosh, I think it was called Space A, and I don't remember exactly how, but I remember when I was in the public health service, it was called Space A travel, and you could travel for a very minimal fee through the military and everything like that. So it, as far as being on that panel with it, we kind of went over the rules for transporting. I think there's a new thing that came up recently with them is that they're getting reimbursed on some of their pet travel moves, which is kind of good for them because imagine taking your family across to maybe the other side of the world as a service to your country, and you might have to pay out of pocket for your pet depending on the situation. So they're reimbursing them to a certain extent, which is good news for them and everything.
That's
so
great.
Yeah, but they do have their own as well. But sometimes they might have to use a commercial airliner too, also with their travel needs. So
I know when I fly, they always like one of the first ones to get on. They ask, is there any military? So that's why I was wondering, like, do they have their own plane, or do they all take commercial?
It probably depends on the circumstances for them and everything, but they do have their own and everything. The other meeting I went to was the International Pet and Animal Transportation Association meeting. It was a regional meeting. North American regional meeting that was in Miami. And that was very good too, because you get to meet all the different pet shippers and their companies. And I had a great time connecting with folks there with that. You'd be amazed. That organization has been around, I think this year is going to be 50 years for them that they've had this association. And it's funny because I would imagine your average person doesn't realize that if you're shipping your pet especially internationally, again, it's regulated, and you can hire a shipping company to assist you with that process. Remember, we do have positive pets health certificates with them, but these folks take it a step further. They make sure your flight arrangements, get everything done. You're in an appropriate crate, all that stuff. They help you with that whole process. So very good meeting too. Very, very good meeting.
Okay. Let's see. When you were at the conference, did you have a chance to explain how there's a lot of crates on the market that just don't meet the standard?
I'm always talking about that. You know that I didn't present at this particular one, but it actually, you know what, as one of my coworkers always saying, you're singing to the choir. He always says to me about Brian Stanley. I love him. He always says you're singing, you're preaching to the choir. So he know, you know, they already know that stuff. They are on top of it. I love that association. So for anyone that's potentially going to travel internationally with your pet, um, reach out to a pet shipper within that organization. Again, it's the International Pet and Animal Transportation Association. You might hear me say IPATA, but look within them and you can find someone that really can assist you with that process. They will definitely make sure your pet is in a IATA compliant crate and the appropriate size, make sure all the documentation is in order, and also help you get your flight information done too. So really good organization.
Well, if everybody goes to IPATA, their site, to pick out the different vendors that they need or different services or products, they're guaranteed that it's going to be, the top quality, and it meets different regulations and all this good stuff, because you have to pass these tests
Yeah,
before you can even be IPATA
right.
compliant.
Right. They are they definitely make sure all the shippers have the training with IATA, which is the International Air Transport Association, and they're you could say the gold standard for transporting all animals basically. So they have training with that, and they're just helping to ship animals. So really good. It was a great meeting.
And another place that people can look is When Pets Fly
Mhm.
website. Under the favorite things tabs, we have quite a few companies that Dr. Bryant, puts her seal of approval on.
Mhm.
And looking at that now, to let people know, one shipping company called Airborne Animals. They specialize in birds, exotic pets, reptiles and such.
Mhm.
So, it's we had a conversation with that company on Facebook Live in January,
Mhm.
and she was explaining how difficult it is to transport birds and exotic pets. So we definitely recommend them for that. Um, let's see, then also Canine Jets. That's a private jet if you're interested in taking them, where your larger dogs, and your cats can go on them and travel with Canine Jets internationally. So not only across this country, but they also take flights over to London and France, and I'm sorry, London, Paris, and Milan, if you want to check them out. So,
We've made a
and
lot
then,
Yeah, we've made a lot of great connections. I swear, like I said, when we started this Facebook Lives, the thought was, yes, we were sharing education, but I believe we've expanded to where we're touching on a lot of different, I would say, stakeholders with
yeah,
pet transportation, or not just even pet transportation, even just zoo animal transportation with Rochelle Rogers, too. So
yeah.
we're just expanded out in a lot of ways in reference to that. I think today is going to be great with David, because we're going to hear something else new as far as how can we ways to confirm situations where you need vaccination records or something like that for animals. I think this is going to be a good conversation today.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And just to finish off one last point, when I
Mhm.
was mentioning on your favorite things list, we
Mhm.
had one other pet transportation company, and that was Pet Express, which we highly recommend as well for people to check out. And Pet Express has their own crates
Great.
that Dr.
Yes,
Bryant gives her seal of approval on as one of the best crates on the market.
it
So
actually it sounds great.
everyone, please go to our site, and the tab is favorite things, and you'll be able to get at least 3 recommendations on pet travel companies, as well as different crates that you can get that she recommends as well.
I'm going to add one more company that you didn't mention, the ARC at JFK. I was just talking them up. I don't know if they're on there, but the ARC at JFK,
They are.
yeah, they're amazing. It's the only animal facility on airport grounds. They
Yep.
serve more than just pets. They serve different types of horses. I mean, the place is huge.
Yeah.
I would love for one time, if we could ever get up to New York, Greta, I would love for you to go visit with me up there because it's an amazing place.
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny. I always think of the ARC as just the facility itself, but I did forget that they have a transportation component to it that helps to get the pets that come in and go out of their facility. And I love that they specialize in horses. So that's a very, very popular part. They're not just that cats and dogs, but horses as well.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
absolutely. Well, are you ready to bring our special guest in?
Let's bring David. That'd be awesome. This is going to be a great conversation. Yes.
Okay, here we go. Let's see how StreamYard. I think we got him.
No,
oh,
do it again.
We lost him. Hold on, he's coming.
There we go.
I'm back. Take two.
Hi, David.
Good to see both of you.
Good seeing you too.
Well, let me read the introduction, and then we will get this conversation started. So everyone, please help me welcome David Servodio. Did I say it right?
Close enough.
No.
Servodio.
David is a co-founder of Vet Verify, a technology startup better connecting the pet economy by enabling verified pet health records to be securely shared at the moments they are needed. He's expert in data verification infrastructure, veterinarian data workflows, and developing go-to-market strategy for products and companies. Both a marketer and entrepreneur, his experience blends commercial strategy and product marketing in B2B technology, contributing to Vet Verify's innovative solutions and strategic positioning within the pet care industry. David lives in Nashville, Tennessee with his wife, son, and two dogs, Bruce the German Shepherd and Pickle the Cavapoo. To give you a little information about Vet Verify, Vet Verify is a technology company that better connects the pet economy by enabling verified pet health records to be securely shared at the moments they are needed, from the clinic to the kennel and beyond. Everyone, please help me welcome David, and I'm not even going to butcher your last name again, but please, everyone, help me welcome David to our party.
Thank you.
We're so excited we got our applause.
Yeah, I love it.
Welcome, David, so much. We spoke a couple months back, and I definitely wanted to have you on because I think what you're doing is very, very interesting. And please share. I'll just say, I think your idea and your concept is outstanding. I mean, I'm sure most pet owners, who walks around with their pet records sometimes in their pocket, or no one does that. Finding a system where the information can be transferred between the veterinary hospitals, number one, also to my boarding facility, my grooming facility, and I'm sure there's potentially other things you could think of too as well where it could be used. So remember we spoke about this a couple months ago, and again, like I said, I just wanted you to come on and share that information. So please enlighten us.
Yeah, happy to. And first of all, let me say, not only just thanks for having me here, I'm a big fan of what y'all are doing. So
thank you.
Just keep up the incredible work in the industry. I'll tell you a little. This company started with the everyday problem that so many pet owners face, which is I need to bring my dog to boarding, as an example, before family vacation. And to do so, I must bring a copy of health records or vaccination records. My co-founders and I were just struck by how difficult of a process that was to get these paper records from my vet clinic and to get them to a kennel that might just be down the street. Took a couple of phone calls, a couple of emails, and we had to print off records that were like faxed in. Mm-hmm. And so we just had this light bulb moment to say, my gosh, there has to be, first of all, there must be some company that has solved this problem, was the first thought we had. We could not find one. And the second thought we had was there has to be a better workflow in place, so that the pet owners, like all of us, are not caught in the middle of trying to manually carry paper or receipts or whatever it might be. And I mean, my gosh, even download one more app that somebody's telling us they need, right? And so with all of those mechanisms, we had the light bulb moment to say, my gosh, I think there's space in the veterinary market for a verification company that helps health records get from the clinic, which is the primary source of data, to the moments and the places they're needed. And that is everywhere from the very simple example of when you check your dog in for a reservation at a kennel or a grooming salon, those records, there needs to be a way to get your records automatically from your clinic to that company securely without this whole runaround of saying, how does the pet owner need to print off paper and take it from A to B? What we quickly realized is that beyond just pet services and the service providers, which is a market that, at least in the United States, is exploding, we realized that problem quickly scaled to large apartment buildings. We realized some of the frustrations that airlines navigate. We realized pet insurance and pet pharmacy. There is an entire ecosystem of companies out there that rely every day on veterinary data just to do their everyday business, but they can't access that data without A, bothering the pet owner, or B, bothering the vet clinic. And so we just said, my gosh, there has to be a data workflow that we can engineer that better connects this and also keeps everyone's information safe and secure, which is a huge part of our background. So that's the problem we solve. We are business to business. We help medical records for our pets get from the clinic to the places we need and make that a more seamless, secure, automated experience. That's what we do.
Awesome.
Okay, fantastic. So, so you definitely want veterinarians to be your client so that they can have your system, and that's kind of like the starting point. So what is it that the veterinarian needs to do to become a client of yours?
Yeah, it's a great question. So if you think about our business, there are two types of companies that we work with. There are vet clinics because they have data that other companies need every single day, or you're a company that requires data just to run a business process, like a grooming salon, as an easy example. You require proof of rabies vaccination before you're letting these pets in the front door for their upcoming appointment. So we work with these companies very uniquely. Everything starts with the clinic, right? Everything starts with the clinic because that is where this data lives. That is where these treatments were administered. And thus that's what we would call the primary source for this data. And so when we think about vet clinics, we've been in this market for a few years now. We realized after a lot of discovery that we needed to build a set of features that allows a veterinarian to be able to share records and employ third-party data verification really securely in a way that doesn't interrupt their workflow and put their clients at risk. And so the way that we work at its simplest level is we partner with their practice management software that they use. And so if you think about what the software that these vet clinics are using, they're using a Cornerstone or an Avamark or a Shepherd or whatever system it might be. That is the primary source for where the data lives, because the workflow is once a treatment's administered at a clinic, it is entered in to their practice management information system. So we ride along with that system. We were able to have a really symbiotic relationship and then essentially give a clinic approval on how they want to share and with whom they want to share. To to essentially set their privacy and security features to say, I want to permission every time a record leaves my clinic, or I want to permission certain companies to have access, or there are plenty of clinics out there that say, it doesn't matter to me, right? Anybody can access my data for anything, just make the 20 phone calls a day go away. And so we meet every individual clinic where they're at with this level of network security and privacy features, so that we can work with their primary source, which is their practice management system. There's a hot debate right now in the veterinary world where kind of the future of the PIMS, if you will. These are designed as clinical software. This is where when you are running a clinical procedure or a workflow, it's designed for that use case.
Mm-hmm.
It's not designed. Practice management systems just simply weren't designed as an operating system. They weren't designed to help drive at their core efficiency, workflow, data portability. And so these systems are recognizing that, and they're working with companies that can integrate and kind of be a hub and spoke, right? Let's take a piece that we're clinical software. We don't solve this operational problem, but we can still put our data to work to help solve that operational problem. So that's how we work with the clinics. Go ahead.
Just a thought, and how does, with now they're saying future of veterinary medicine, since there's a shortage, you're working on options for telemedicine or telehealth. How can that fit into that equation?
Oh, it fits really nicely, and
Mm-hmm.
frankly, telehealth companies have a lot of the same problem, which is if you're a telehealth clinician, before you jump on the phone to handle that appointment and see that new patient, having records available at your fingertips is a big part of that workflow, right? If you can understand the medical history of your patient, and you can have that available in real time, it's an enormous part of that workflow. And it goes back to that PIMS conversation. Is these software systems were designed not to handle every operational workflow. They were designed to be the database of clinical information. And so telehealth's a fantastic example of how you can just ride along to the clinical information and put it to use in a workflow that makes sense for everybody involved. And critical medical information at your fingertips is a big part of that.
Awesome. Very good.
Yeah, great question.
Very good.
So are you reaching out to telehealth companies now to incorporate them as one of your service providers?
We are. I'd say the easiest use case happens to be the biggest use case for us, which is just pet service providers. That is everything from grooming, boarding, daycare, training. Those four we actually don't even have to do much outreach. They're reaching out to us every day. And if you think about the problem for them, they're required to keep copies of vaccination records on file. And different states have different laws and regulations about exactly what that looks like. But in many states, they're required to keep physical copies of vaccination records. And if they don't have them and the reservation's coming up the next day, they will likely cancel the reservation, which means lost revenue. And so our value prop to the pet service providers is we can, by automating this process for you and helping data flow back and forth between your clinic partners and your service providers, we can essentially guarantee you schedule integrity and prevent you from losing revenue. Not having access to basic routine medical information should not be the reason why your boarding reservation is canceled and thus you cancel your family vacation, right? That's just not a thing that should happen in today's economy. And so for us, we think we tailor the solution for both sides to make sure it solves the core problems and the core concerns. The reality is pet services companies think very differently about this problem than vet clinics do. It's the same problem. They sit on opposite ends of it, but the way they interact and participate is very, very unique and tailored. And so if you think about us, we're a two-sided business. Telehealth is one of those options, but we help serve companies really uniquely depending on how they need data, where they want it, and what exactly is the workflow that they need it in.
Awesome.
So, from the aspect of the pet parent, are they, you said you're B2B, so I'm assuming that the pet parent is not reaching out to you directly.
Mhm.
But do you have things or do you interact with the pet parent at all?
We're just starting to. I'll give you a little sneak peek because this is kind of fun. We have there's two things that are really on our mind. One is we've actually started to see really uniquely that our service providers will start to highlight the fact that they're partnered with Vet Verify as an incentive for a pet owner to book there instead of one of their competitors. So let me give you an example. There's a grooming enterprise that we work with that's based in the Southeast. I'm from Nashville, Tennessee. They also happen to be from Nashville, Tennessee. On their website, you'll see that one of the features that they tout is if you book with us, don't even worry about vaccination records. We have a partner that handles this for you to make it easier. You don't have to chase your vet anymore. You can just book here and our partner will handle it for you. And so they sell it as a value add, and we're the partner behind the scenes doing that work. And so the pet owners are starting to respond and actually choose with their wallet where they want to go based on this workflow, which is really, really unique. So
That's good.
we work with our partners to try to highlight this as a benefit for their clients, pet owners, to say, if you're a pet owner and you want to go to drop your dog off for daycare, this should not be a reason why you pick this company over this company, but it's just frustrating enough that pet owners are starting to vote with their wallet share. And so we interact directly in that way. And then we've got some other things cooking behind the scenes. I promise y'all when we're ready, I will share it with y'all first.
Good.
We've got a pet owner specific product that we're aiming to launch in June of this year.
Okay, good.
That's perfect. You guys should create Vet Verify badges that companies can put on their website, and so they have the seal of approval.
That's the hope. That's the hope. We're starting to work with folks that have directories of that kind to say, if you're a clinic or a service provider that automates this experience for your pet parents, that's something worth highlighting. It's the reason why folks are picking a clinic. It's the reason why folks are going to a service provider. What's very interesting, if I can make this observation too real fast, is as we've lived in this data, this world of data exchange for so long, time and time again, we may be the only people, or at least the first people, that are really starting to say this out loud. But we see the trigger moment for when a pet parent goes to their vet to update vaccinations for their pet is rarely timed up with when vaccines expire. It is almost always timed up for when they have a service or they are going somewhere. And so there is the human consumer behavior is driving vaccination trends and getting things re-upped, not when the vaccines are expiring. And so we're starting to make these really strong correlations between how people actually act in the real world versus I think what is probably the old school way of thinking in the veterinarian world, which is, yeah, my vaccines are expiring. I'm going to reach out. They're going to come in because they're a really responsible pet owner on the day that it's expired to get their next round of vaccines. And the reality is there's often something else driving pet parents to go back to their vet clinic, which is very, very interesting when we think about how to influence the pet owner journey as we sit on that data.
Wow. We have a banner up here that actually talks on something you mentioned before about data privacy and all. And on top of these questions, I wanted to add: does ADA apply to this? Is all of that relevant?
It does, and I'll focus on consent and what we would call purpose as well. And so pet owner consent, if you think about consent and permissible purpose, those are the bookends of successful data exchanges. And I know this is like technical and y'all probably don't talk to a lot of people that talk about consent and purpose, but it means on either side, if you're a pet owner, you must give consent for your records to be shared. So that is your data. And you are the rightful owner, therefore you must have consent. And on the other side, you must have consent to search for that. You must have consent from the pet owner to access their records if you're a grooming salon, and you must have what we define as a permissible purpose. So I'll give you an example of something that's not a permissible purpose. We do not allow, in our software system, we do not allow pet owners that are neighbors, as an example, that are looking to pull somebody's pet to see if they have information, file or up to date. So for us, we gate all of that activity. You cannot use our system if you don't have pet owner consent and a permissible purpose to be able to use it. Those are the bookends of what we would call successful data exchange.
And I'm assuming that the pet owner, do they like make a list of people who are allowed to have access, or do they check off boxes of these types of people?
Great question. Pet owners, most of the time that we see, there's a couple of variations, but most of the time we see this being handled in some version of new patient paperwork or new client paperwork. So if you think about when you go to the grooming salon for the first time, you got to fill out a new client form. There are checkboxes on that form to say, do you give this company authorization to request your medical records so that way you can keep your upcoming reservation? And so we actually make sure that every organization, whether you're a veterinarian clinic or you're a pet service provider, appropriately captures pet parent consent on both sides. So when you're filling out a new patient form at your vet clinic, in the event that a company is requesting access to your data because of a transaction you have initiated as the pet owner. So example, paying a claim for pet insurance is a pet owner initiated transaction. If you're making a boarding reservation at a kennel, that is a pet owner initiated transaction. And so we just make sure we're really, really tight on both sides to ensure that it's captured with every single transaction. So there's no blanket approval.
Okay. Quick question. So ideally, the pet owner, goes and sets this up and allows the access to information. What if, as a pet owner, I'm on a trip and my dog gets bit by a snake, and now I'm rushing him to the local hospital?
Yeah.
So I know this would be perfect for the hospital to just go request, the information. But since the people are not set up in the system already, how would that work in an emergency situation?
That's a great question. So we start to see this all the time with emergency situations as well. We have, depending on the exact parameters of the situation, we're either able to fully automate, or in the case of an emergency like this, we actually have a team on staff that if you need records ASAP, we can fetch them for you. So in that example, if the emergency clinic knows you're coming, they can log into Vet Verify, just type in the information about your pet and you as the pet owner, click send, and we will immediately start calling and reaching out to that clinic on their behalf to make sure all of this hassle, they can focus on treating your pet, and we'll make sure they have the medical history as fast as possible. So we, depending on how they interact with Vet Verify or how they choose to interact with Vet Verify, we can still help meet folks in an emergent situation by getting you the records you need. And our goal is to get that instantly, or at least within minutes.
Dr. Bryant, do you have any questions?
Well, I was thinking to myself, I know we signed, for us, everything we do is HIPAA. I mean, is there anything like that for animals? So I guess I should know that, but I'm not familiar.
It's a great question. So our point of view, there's nothing like that today. Nothing that exists to the level of human healthcare. Our point of view is that something like that, at least for pet owner pet health data and the privacy around that, it's coming. And our point of view is it's coming, and the industry is frankly not ready for it. And so we are helping to gate data and helping to make sure it's really protected and building our solve in a way that is informed by HIPAA compliance. Our co-founder's background, actually, ironically enough, we come from building technology solutions that are for human healthcare compliance. And our sweet spot is understanding regulation and then building technology that helps clinics automatically stay compliant with whatever regulation is coming, however often that changes. And so we've designed this system in a way that as data privacy and security legislation starts to increase the frequency of being passed state by state, we're preparing our vet clinic partners to just make that a very easy transition. Right now, there's certain state boards, when you go to like the State Board of Veterinary Medicine, state by state, there are some stipulations on veterinary records and how they should be treated. So when a pet owner authorizes access to those veterinary records, the vets are held responsible for actually releasing those and making sure that they get to the pet owner when it's requested by the pet owner or there's authorization in place. And so things like that, this actually helps vet clinics comply with a lot easier, because if not, what's happening right now, that channel is email. And an email workflow and response is not an awesome way to ensure compliance.
Right. Very interesting.
Yeah.
I can think of other things that potentially that Verify could really help with too. And we've had a discussion probably a good over a year now where Sheila Goff from AKC was talking about the service dog pass. But imagine that verifying that an animal is a true service dog too, something like that. Just a thought.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know there's a question on the screen too about airlines too, is we've started to navigate this a little bit with understanding our vision, our dream state is, as you're a pet parent, you book your reservation with a particular airline, and that should kick off an automated workflow to just fetch and verify those records from your vet clinic. And so in that use case, that is where we're aiming to go. Right now, we're so busy in the services side, but airlines are such a complementary workflow. And in reality, it fits really cleanly into what we do today from a regulatory standpoint, from a compliance standpoint. That workflow just fits perfectly, especially because that reservation, most folks aren't booking a flight with their pet the day or two before. Most of them are several weeks in advance. And so to be able to have that lead time to appropriately verify, make sure if anything is needed in before the flight, that there's a chance to schedule an appointment to do so. It's actually we're very, very interested in and exploring and breaking into sometime in 2024.
That's awesome. Like I said, that's an area that's needed. But just be aware they're going to need, as far as the airline traveling, they're going to need a little bit more than just say vaccine records. You're going to need the health certificates and stuff, but at least connecting and sharing what's required and start working on that would be ideal.
Correct. Yep.
Another area of any transportation. Remember, Greta, we talked before in the past about there's certain cruise lines that allow pets, they could use it. I think about the hotels, anything that's in a sense pet friendly with the move towards that, with hotels now accepting pets. There's got to be some stipulations on that. You know, you just don't want any pet to just be walking through. They should be vaccinated, because I keep going back to saying the pet friendly initiatives are really about responsible pet ownership more than anything. And part of responsible pet ownership is making sure they're vaccinated and up to date with everything. So it can help in those areas too. Yeah,
1,000%. One area of that is maybe adjacent to hotels is tenant screening for new apartment complexes as well. Folks moving into, we're starting to get approached by apartment buildings that say we have 300 tenants across multiple properties that move in every couple of months, and we are constantly calling vet clinics to access records and can you kind of automate this process? And we don't need so much of the time when you are requesting a vaccination record as a third-party company. You're emailing or calling the vet clinic front desk and saying, I just need to know if this pet is up to date on vaccines. And what you get in return can be like 100+ page PDF of every medical note that's ever been cataloged, which from our point of view is a lot of data that should never leave the clinic. The clinic should have a way to say, yep, this dog is up to date on vaccines without giving a full surgical history of everything that's ever been performed on that pet. That includes pricing information or client contact information. That is sensitive data that should never be shared. And an apartment complex doesn't want it all. They just want to know if the dog's up to date on vaccines. And so I think so much of what we actually do is moderate data on both sides. What does this type of company actually need? How can the clinic resolve that request without actually giving away data that they shouldn't be, right? Or they don't need to. So that's a big part of what we do.
Perfect.
Is it a matter of just sending a one-page form that checks off all the vaccines that the pet or pets have? Or is it as simple as, sending a statement of they are vaccinated and that's it? What is it that these places, when they hire you to get the information, what are they looking for?
That's a fantastic question. It does get vaccine specific. And so down to the, do you require lepto or not? Do you require, everybody typically requires rabies, but do you require Bordetella? Are you okay with the 6-month? Do you require 12-month? And so we actually customize our requirements that are unique to each individual client. And so not only do we validate the data that comes from the vet clinic that corresponds to that pet, we actually will proactively interpret those results to let our clients know, I may have the record, but does it actually meet your requirements? Yes, no, that's a completely different question. And so there's so much of that I think our service providers, as an example, are asking us to solve, because in the absence of it, they're often sifting through receipts, PDFs, 100-page medical documents to figure out, I need to know these 5 vaccinations and whether or not they are up to date. Yes, no, but a yes, no blanket is not actually good enough. I need to know about these 5. Bordetella is a really good example. Canine influenza, just over the last year or so, we've seen a lot of that. Folks that perhaps didn't require it before, but are now requiring it now, and therefore their criteria for what even passes as an admittable pet has changed. And so we evolve with our clients on that side. But Greta, that's a fantastic question, because that really is the nuance in the detail of what we do.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you think about it too, certain vaccines, you have to give a booster and all where they are with it. So, you can give one Bordetella, or you can give one canine influenza to be the first one, but they don't get proper immunity after, say, maybe 3 weeks later with a booster. So you need to know all those little details.
Correct. That. All those little details. And a lot of these things are like, we see different trends in different regions of the United States. And so we end up getting very, very detailed and specific. But outside of that, so an example, if anything that's not on that requirements list is data that we believe should likely not be passed through. So with whatever our service provider needs, we'll make sure we answer. It really comes down to answering questions with data. And the question the service provider is saying, can I admit this pet and keep this reservation on my calendar? And to do so, I need to know the exact status and expiration of these vaccines. It gets that specific, that nuanced, but anything that is extra, unnecessary data that doesn't actually support answering that question, we believe should stay with the clinic. It shouldn't actually leave the 4 walls.
Can animal transportation companies be a client of yours?
Yeah, and some of them are. Yeah, they for that exact use case, they say, I was talking to one maybe 2 weeks ago. who is transportation, just saying, I need vaccine records. I also and I'm needing them from different veterinarians across the country, just based on our travel patterns. Is that something you can support? It ends up being a yes. What are your requirements? Who are these clinics? And are you capturing the appropriate consent from the pet owners as well? And if a lot of these baseline things are in place, that's absolutely a client type that we support, and we do today.
So if a pet parent is seeing this and they love the service that you have, however, you're a B2B, if their veterinarian's office is not a part of your company, is there a way for the pet parent to get their records to you so that whenever they're traveling, they can tell, whatever hotel or their groomer to give you a call? Is there a way for something with the pet parent that we can be a part of this?
That is coming. That's the product that we're working on that's launching soon, is for pet parents to say, if you just want to take this into your own hands, you want an easier way. So I'd say y'all stay tuned. I promise I'll share it with y'all first when it's ready for prime time. For right now, the best thing you can do is recommend this to your vet. And just say, and here's the best part about it. Our whole philosophy is, if you're a vet clinic that has a lot of this data, but other companies rely on data that you have, and so they're calling you all the time for proof of records, that isn't necessarily a thing that you should pay for. And so I know folks get really skeptical when we say that. They say, well, what are you trying to do here with my data and things like that too? But it really comes down to, if you want to get started, you're the first in your market. We often work with clinics to say, we want to be cost prohibitive, and we often give away this for free to the first few clinics in a metro or town, like municipality, to say, hey, if your pet parents are asking you for it, you've been referred to do this, we'll make it really easy and really seamless for y'all to turn it on and just add that benefit and protect you at the same time at no cost. So if you're listening to this as a pet parent, the best thing you can do is just bring it up to your veterinarian. Veterinarians, in my experience, have a lot of questions when you start talking about data and security and privacy. And that is most of what we do, is educate veterinarians on kind of what's happening today, how their data is already leaving their clinic, and how we can help better lock it down so you have better controls in place, while at the same time giving a benefit to your partners and pet parents in your local community. So if you're watching this, that's the best thing you can do.
Perfect.
Dr. Bryant, do you have any other questions?
I can't think of anything else right now. I just think it's amazing what you're doing, and there's so many aspects that you're connecting now, and really helping the pet owners, in the sense that you're saying, helping them to do what they want to do, services, connecting and everything. But like I said, I really think more your focus, yes, is more pet industry, groomer, a boarding facility or daycare, stuff like that. But I still also see where, like I said, eventually airline, yes. I could see hotels, any environment that potentially that they're saying it's going to be pet friendly. I think there's a big need right there, or potential opportunities for you. So I think it's great, David. I really do.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I'm grateful y'all had us on the show today. I love what y'all are doing. I'm such a big fan of you both.
Thank you.
Happy to come back anytime.
Oh, I got another question.
Well, we got to figure it out, because I can't wait for this news to come out. So we'll fix
on the launch tour.
Somewhere within the schedule. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Greta, go ahead.
I got a quick question. So for some of the dog parks, they actually require a vaccination list. So have you thought about maybe going to the municipalities that own these dog parks and, working out something with them?
You read my mind. That is, we have dog parks as clients today on the private side. There's a lot of these like luxury dog parks that say, you can come in and have a drink and hang out with your dog in a really cool environment. They all require vaccinations to get in the front door. And so we have several of these that we work with today. And on the oh my gosh, I'm struggling with that word today. Municipality side. That's absolutely on our roadmap for this year to get more kind of citywide. But for now, a lot of these private dog parks just choose to work with us. We work really well if an organization has like an active membership base or an active directory. So a lot of these private dog parks are like, they have membership, so you can come in whenever you want, and you have to have your health records to be an active member. We monitor their entire membership base and understand when things are expiring, and then automatically fetch and verify new records from their veterinarian. So that way they can it's just behind the scenes, they can just enjoy a seamless experience at the dog park and not have to worry about just finding their records, calling their vet, and the hassle. You wouldn't believe how many dog parks we have heard of that have called us and say, we have people that are waiting outside trying to call their vet. Their vet put them on hold. They can't get in, and they are literally looking through the gates, but they can't get in. And so that is not an experience that should happen. We believe that pet parents deserve a little bit more than that.
Absolutely. So let's see. I know you told us about how the company started and everything. I just found this other banner that I want to put out there that we actually missed. So I wanted to give you the opportunity to answer this. What's been the early response from different segments of the market?
It's a great question. Our startup journey at the beginning of this has been pretty fantastic. It is been a learning experience as well. Starting a company in the pet industry is so rewarding, and it's such a fun industry to be a part of. People are incredible. We've loved every second, and it's also, there's parts of it that we were kind of shocked by, right? I think we came from a reference point of human healthcare, and there's a lot that's the same, and there's a whole lot that's different. And so we've had to recalibrate a little bit to figure out where exactly do we fit, what's different, what's the same. Your original idea when you start a company is never actually what it ends up being. There's always pivots and changes throughout. And so our startup journey is no different. But the early response has been pretty fantastic, particularly on dog daycare, boarding, and grooming. Those are folks where phones ringing off the hook, frankly. We have more demand than we can handle at the moment, so we're figuring out how to scale. But uniquely with our business, we must scale proportionately. So it doesn't do us any good to have every vet in the world using Vet Verify but no service providers, or the opposite, every service provider using Vet Verify but no vets. So we have to understand exactly what the mechanics of growing proportionately need to look like for Vet Verify, which has been the most rewarding part of our process.
You mentioned that you started out thinking one thing that the business should be, and it morphed into something else. What did you think you would be doing, and what has it morphed into?
Great question, Greta. You're asking all the good questions.
You have the good questions. I'm in awe. That's all. I'm just sucking it all in.
Yeah. The thing that was most surprising is I think we were new to the pet industry. Our careers were more on the human side of just general technology and human healthcare specifically. One thing that we didn't quite anticipate is, I'd just say, for lack of a better word, the level of skepticism around veterinary data that most clinics tend to hold as bias, for lack of a better word. And so anytime you bring up the question of veterinary data, it's almost like you can see people's hair stick up on the back of their neck. There's been some companies that have burned them before, and they're rightfully skeptical of companies like us that are saying, hey, we can automate some processes and help with how medical records need to be shared. there's a level of skepticism that was met early on that we had to really invent our product to meet vets where they were at, not necessarily where we guessed they would be. And so it was, for better or for worse. I don't think there's no right or wrong there. It just was, we thought veterinarians, when they heard the word integrate, would be a little bit more eager to integrate and automate. And I think on the whole, we found those words to be maybe a little scary to the average veterinarian. And that, I don't know if I was quite ready for that. So we had to really tell us a different story, and get really dialed in on privacy and security to the veterinarian audience. I think they were just a little less likely to say, yep, I'm going to integrate and trust you. And especially, why would you trust us, right? We're not veterinarians. We weren't in the industry. We had to earn the trust of the industry over several years before vet clinics really said, you know what, this makes a lot of sense and I trust y'all. Our partnership strategy has fueled this a lot. So we're partners with companies like Mars Pet Care, Michelson Found Animals. We're partners with some of the leading veterinary data companies on the market. And so aligning with companies that have really good data stewardship, data principles, and trust in the industry helped us a lot with that.
Fantastic. I'm so happy to hear that for you, and congratulations again on your success in getting into the Mars program. Because when you are able to be third-party verified, by someone who's already established themselves, that goes a long way, and that not everybody is able to get that. So again, congratulations on your relationship with Mars.
Yeah, appreciate that.
Not a problem. Well, I wanted to share with everybody, if they wanted to find out more about your organization, Vet Verify, with an I at the end, not a Y, definitely go to their website, which is Vet Verify with an I at the end, not a Y.com. And then they are on social media, and you can follow them, Vet Verify, on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram.
Awesome.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Awesome.
Oh, you're
Thank
welcome.
you, Dave. I told you this was going to go by really fast. You gave some valuable information, so I really appreciate it. Like I said, I'm quiet because I'm learning. So thank you. I think it was great. So,
yeah.
Are there any last words, David, you want to share with everyone?
No, just another word of appreciation for what y'all are doing and the level of education and quality that y'all are bringing to the market. We are incredible fans of the two of you, and it's an honor to be here. I'm grateful for the invite and glad we got to spend the time.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Thank you so much, David. Awesome. Well, like I said, we're going to have to figure out after you get. I was going to say after you get your good news, please let us know. And we could potentially
I'm so excited. I can't wait.
Definitely looking forward to it and everything. So I'm really happy for you. One quick question though. How long has this process been for you? When did you start? I don't know if you shared that. Did you share that?
We're about 2 years old as a company. Okay. We're really 1 year of, we built our first version of a product and really got off the ground for a year while we had day jobs as true entrepreneurs. But we've been full-time working on Vet Verify for just coming up on a year now. So when you think about our journey, we're really a year in the industry.
Awesome. Much needed. Much needed. That's good. Very, very good. Well, thank you so much. Again, we have to have you back again soon. Any final words you want to say? Because like I said, this time just went by really, really quickly. Any final words for us?
I'm good. Thanks for having me today.
Good. All right. I don't have anything any further for you, Greta.
Okay. Well, thank you, everyone, for joining us on today's Facebook Live with Dr. Nelva Bryant. Today, we brought to you Vet Verify, and we hope that you will go to your veterinarian and tell them to sign up today.
Yes.
So we look forward to seeing you again at the end of the month, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye. Thanks, David. Thank you so much. Yep.
Let's see. I'm pushing. Oh, he left. Okay.
You got it.